Welcome everyone to today's ECBA webinar about urgent needs for our oceans in policy and society. Call for the UN Decade of Ocean Science for Sustainable Development. Frank, who just joined, is actually still transferring from the airport to his office. And Peter and I, we wanted to anyway introduce the ECBA and the Synopsis project very briefly until Frank is joining us from his computer. I'm Simon Häusler. I'm the Synopsis project manager of ECBA, and I will talk about the Synopsis project very briefly in a few moments. And Peter Nisselbeck, he's the vice president of ECBA, and he's also with us tonight and will tell us a few things about the ECBA. So, Peter.
Yeah, hello to everybody. Welcome to ECBA, to the ECBA webinar. My name is Peter Nisselbeck. I'm a marine biologist, and I'm a settled biologist in the liberal professions, and in ECBA responsible for the liberal professions and also for the Euro ProBio certification. Today it's an honor for me to introduce you in a few words with ECBA. So ECBA is the overarching organization in Europe, which is not the European countries. It's more or less geographically, it's the continent of Europe. ECBA was founded in the 1970s and was starting to run in the 1980s. As Europe was not Europe as we know it today. It was mainly the big countries, and was also founded. ECBA was also founded by the big countries, which is Germany, France, and Great Britain, and also Netherlands. And the idea was more or less the same like the European countries, but a little bit earlier. So we wanted to enable the biologists for free migration in Europe, and that was why the European professional biologist title was invented. And meanwhile, ECBA is the representation of, let's say, 27 countries. Not all countries in Europe have biological associations representing the biologists of the country. In the northern part, we have different types of organizations. For example, we have, Simon, does it work?
Pardon?
Does it work? So the screen is stopped.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You can't see the my slide anymore?
It's freezed. It's freezed. Okay, so I will go on explaining what ECBA is. So ECBA is the representation of the countries, and the associations in the countries have different types of associations. In Scandinavia, for example, we have associations which are representing more or less science or are unions, and in the Central Europe, we have different organizations like teacher organizations or science-based organizations. Sometimes we have countries with more than one association, and sometimes we have countries, especially in the eastern part of Europe, there are definitely no associations, which depends a little bit on the history of the United Europe. And ECBA has also observing members like Turkey, and we have also some special regions where ECBA is also involved in political conflicts, like in Cyprus, where we have an overarching biologist organization, but the organization is at least divided into the Greek and the Turkish part. Well, I'm from Germany, and in Germany we have VBio, and VBio is the overarching organization representing all the diverse branches of biology. And we have the professional organization of biologists, PDBiol, and We are founding members in the 1970s of ECBA, together with the big countries, as I mentioned before. Well, ECBA started in the 1980s to promote the skills of biologists. And in the 1990s, we said, okay, biology is not a profession where we work for free. Biologists are very professional skilled, and they have jobs with a high responsibility in medicine, in plant sciences, in animal sciences, and also in environmental sciences. And in 2010 around, Harm Smith, the president of ECBA, invented Proud to be a Biologist. And that was something which was contrary to the history of biology in Europe, because biologists have ever been so the appendix of the sciences, like medicine or pharmacy or so. But meanwhile, we say biologists are the guys who win the Nobel Prize for the medical doctors or for the chemists. And that's why the slogan "Proud to be a Biologist" is also very important. Biology is in Europe a profession which is not really organized in a network like the chambered professions, like the medical doctors or the lawyers or so. That's the problem why you are not registered, at least in Europe, as a biologist. You are only registered if you work in a university or in a country, in a company. But if you are, for example, a freelancer or a settled biologist, that's a problem. So you don't have at least a registration number, which we would need as an entrepreneur or as a company. And that's at least the reason why we reinvented the EuroProBio title, because this is the personal certification and also a register for biologists. They can prove their skills, and they can also prove that they exist since a couple of time. It's why we have the renewal of the EuroProBio every 3 years after the first certification. So ECBA is also doing at least something important for biologists to be known and to be foundable, at least in the European countries. And also because Great Britain did a great job also in the Commonwealth, at least, because Great Britain is also using the EuroProBio title. Meanwhile, they have also the Chartered Biologist, which is more or less equal to the EuroProBio. And that's why the European biologists are also in touch with the Commonwealth system. Okay, I think this is enough for ECBA, and I would like to hand over to Simon, who will give a short introduction to synapses.
All right, thank you, Peter. The Synapses project started in 2023, last year in summer, and we have a framework now, and we did build up a portal and a website that I will show you in a few moments. The Synapses project will set up an Erasmus Plus School Heads and Teacher Training Academy on teaching for sustainability citizenship. That's why we also invited Frank here today. And we envision this as to be a catalyst for the transformation of learning spaces in Europe. Sustainability citizenship, just to briefly introduce this term, it refers to the active and responsible engagement of individuals in promoting sustainability and addressing environmental, social, and economic challenges, which are basically the ones we are facing nowadays. It goes beyond being a passive recipient and instead involves the active participation in matters related to sustainability. A sustainability citizen is someone who understands the interconnectedness of environmental, social, and economic systems and takes actions to contribute positively to sustainability efforts. And we like to train teachers to be those change agents for their students. And we like to help them in their continuous professional development to be able to have an impact on their students and to have this positive impact. You can check out our website and the Synopsys portal. You can scan the QR codes or just type in those links. I will also send you the links in a mail after this webinar. The portal, we are still building it up. We're currently actually looking for material that helps teachers in their professional development. And we have those training materials online. And I will just show you very briefly how this looks. We have currently not yet all the materials online, but we will continue to bring them there. We currently already have a accreditation system, how to set up these things, how to set them up in our portal. And now I just need to remove the Zoom thing so I can actually navigate here. So you see this is the Synopsys portal. You can click on inspiring practices to begin with. We have a lot of different things. Here you see a few reference documents from the EU, but also other things about learning approaches. For example, the whole school approach also has its own button. Then here the training materials. If you click on it, you will find a list of things. It's either training material for teachers or also inspiring practices. So best practice examples. Here's a filter list that we're also still finalizing. So you can check for your school level that you're interested in and look for different things, and you will find a lot of very beautiful best practice examples here. And yeah, with this, I'm actually already towards the end of this presentation. I would like to ask Peter to introduce Frank, and then we will see if Frank is already at this computer in the office. Peter, please.
Okay, thanks, Simon. Today we have the chance to connect science and education. So this is also the chance that we can link Synopsys to ECBA. Synopsys is an ECBA project, and Frank is a kind of species of biologists which is not very common in Europe, because Frank is on the one hand is vice president of the German Deutsche Gesellschaft für Meeresforschung, German Association of Marine Research. He's also founder of Deutsche Meeresstiftung, and he is founder of different other organizations which are linked with science. But Frank started as a young guy. He is born in 1962 in the southern part of Germany in the Black Forest, and started 1963, sorry Frank, 1 year younger, started at least as a journalist. And this is very important for biologists, because biologists normally are scientists and they work a little bit hidden. And Frank always tried to show what biologists do, how important is science, and what are the science results, and how can we present science results to the society, especially to the young guys. And that is also the reason why he started to run a sailing ship. It's called Aldebaran. It's a media and TV and research vessel. And he's doing on this vessel marine research as well as education for students, for school students, and also for people doing some competitions like the Meereswettbewerb organization which is supporting at least students' competitions in biology. So Frank is very important, at least as a communicator of science. And he has a great network and is also linked to a lot of famous people in marine sciences, like Sylvia Earle or Prince Albert from Monaco, and others who are more or less dealing in the political part of marine sciences and marine policy. And that's why we wanted to invite him today for his presentation. Why, let's say, our oceans need help, why the UN Ocean Decade, which started in 21 and is running up to 2030, is very necessary to form an ocean which we need and which we want. And that's now the speech of Frank, and I hope we can hand over to him. Frank, I think the floor is yours.
It seems Frank is still in the metro. Otherwise, we would already see his video. We do have one little video that he just sent me. And it's basically very nicely describing what they're doing at the Meereswettbewerb. Let me just show this to you. Peter, can you just tell me quickly if you actually hear the video? Do you see the video already?
Yes.
Here we go.
Eine eingewanderte Art, also die invasiv bei uns in der Rostocker Unterwarnung vorkommt und vor allem zu Problem geworden ist für Bootsbesitzer. Also es bringt vor allem wirtschaftliche Folgen mit sich, dadurch, dass es wasserbauliche Anlagen sozusagen verstopft und die müssen dadurch kostenaufwendig gereinigt werden, und auch bei Booten führt es eben zu einem erhöhten Treibstoffverbrauch. Das war also die Ursprungsproblematik. Wir haben uns vor allem aus ökologischen Gesichtspunkten dann mit dem Thema beschäftigt und wollten wissen, wie das Thema wittern kann und vor allem, wie es bei uns verbreitet ist, weil es ursprünglich kommt eben und ganz andere Bedingungen.
Wir haben ein Tonproblem.
Und mithilfe der Aldebaran wollten wir eben nicht nur bei uns in Rostock, sondern auch an der Küste rund um Rügen die Verbreitung des Tieres genauer untersuchen.
Um mit unserer Forschung voranzukommen, arbeiten wir mit diversen Materialien, wie zum Beispiel einem Tauchroboter oder Blue Waft genannt. Diesen setzen wir ins Wasser und können dann unter Wasser filmen. Das heißt, wir fahren an beispielsweise einen Pfahl ran und können bis in 100 Meter Tiefe, so weit reicht unser Kabel, abfahren. Wir haben von Barhüft bis Greifswald viele Substrate abgefahren, und um zu gucken, ob wir bei den Videoaufnahmen nicht vielleicht etwas übersehen haben, fertigen wir auch stichpunktartig Kratzproben an. Dazu kratzen wir mit Hilfe eines Pfeilkratzers die Substrate ab und gucken uns das dann genauer in einer mikroskopischen Schale an. Also das sind einfach die Tiere, die wir ausgezählt haben im Labor, und jeder schwarze Punkt ist hier ein Kopf. Weil wir wissen, dass der australische Kalkröhrenwurm empfindlich auf Salzkonzentration reagiert, arbeiten wir auch mit einer Exosonde. Diese kann die Salinität messen oder auch den Sauerstoffgehalt, die Temperatur, die Tiefe und die Leitfähigkeit. Wir lassen die Exosonde also an einem Band herunter, bis wir am Boden ankommen, und messen sekündlich die Werte.
Wir wissen vom Kalkröhrenwurm, dass er eine sehr anpassungsfähige Art ist, die vor allem im Brackwasser vorkommt. Das Brackwasser ist eigentlich eine sehr lebensfeindliche Zone, weil es eben ständige Änderungen gibt, und darauf ist das Tier aber sehr, sehr gut angepasst. Und ein wichtiges Kriterium ist auch die Temperatur, die eben für die Fortpflanzung notwendig ist.
Das Braune, was man da sieht, ist die Tentakelkrone, die in Filtrierposition das Wasser filtert. Und wenn wir jetzt als Fressfeind sozusagen auf den Kalkröhrenwurm zukommen, dann zieht sich das alles ruckartig zurück, und zurück bleibt nur die weiße Kalkröhre.
Wir versuchen, die Ergebnisse, die wir schon gemacht haben in unserer bisherigen Projektarbeit rund um Rostock, zum einen zu vergleichen, und andererseits in dieser Region hier rund um Rügen wurde noch nie so spezifisch nach dem Kalkröhrenwurm gesucht. Das sind super wichtige Ergebnisse für uns.
Am besten gefällt mir eigentlich das Klima hier, alle kommen miteinander gut aus.
Okay.
Yeah, hello everybody. So I'm very sorry, here's Frank. And I have a problem to connect my computer to internet. So I arrived in the office and very happy to be here today and to talk about citizen science, about education in the marine field, and also to talk a little bit about the ocean. And I don't know how to solve this stupid problem. Maybe just give me another minute and probably the computer will connect. I don't know. Yeah, as Peter already mentioned, I'm since 35 years in the field of ocean communication active, and mainly with a boat called Aldebaran, which is a research and communication vessel based on the idea of Jacques Cousteau, whom I met also many, many years ago, as well as Hans Haas, etc., all these famous people. And yeah, I prepared a presentation to talk about the science communication from the ocean, and I also want to talk about the United Nations Ocean Decade. But unfortunately, I can see that my computer is still not online. So maybe I connect my computer now with my phone. So give me 1 minute and let me try it again. I'm so sorry for this technical inconvenience, but I will be back in 1 minute and hand over to Peter. Peter, maybe you can talk a bit about the German Society for Marine Research and how to strengthen the community in Europe again.
Yeah, okay. First I would like to say some words to Aldebaran. As Frank mentioned, it is the idea, at least of Jacques Cousteau, to run a private research vessel. You know, the German research vessels are run by universities or by big institutions like the Alfred Wegener Institute. These ships are specialized vessels. You can go to the Arctic, to the Antarctic, or can go to the high seas. But the problem with these ships is these ships are not available in a short term. So if something happens and you want to go with a ship to a special place, for example, for an accident or for an upcoming of new species or something like that, it needs time in a time slot of about 5 years to be able to have a place on one of the research vessels. And that's why the small vessels like the Aldebaran are very important for marine research, because they can go fast all over the world. They can be transported by transport vessels all over the world, and can operate in shallow waters as well as in high seas. But you don't have the big laboratories, you cannot manage the heavy gears and so on. But meanwhile, all these small vessels are really important for marine research. And that's why we can also see in Europe that we have, on the one hand, big organizations like the German Association of Marine Research. They are represented, at least, and also the German Marine Alliance, they are represented by the big institutions. But at the universities, we have a lot of biologists working in marine biology, and they do not belong to these big institutes. And that's why, for example, we founded in the beginning of 2021 the Association for Biologists in Germany. And these organizations at least represent the individualized research. We have, for example, in Austria, we have in the Adriatic Sea, we also have in the Mediterranean Sea. We have also big vessels in the Mediterranean Sea, but we also need small vessels, for example, for coastal research, which are fast and can go with a specialized crew, can go out and can do research works. And that is also a copy, at least, of what Frank did 30 years ago by founding the Aldebaran. But meanwhile, I think Frank is online. We can see him, and maybe I'll hand over to him now.
Thank you, Peter, and very, very sorry for this technical problems. So then just let me see the presentation, and then let's start for my my activity. So I come back just from the Canary Islands, where we try to establish a project to restore ecosystems in the ocean and also on land. So this is a really challenging project, and I'm very happy to meet several ministers there, because at the moment I'm not only active in Aldebaran, the research and communication vessel. I'm also active in the European Mission Board for Restore Ocean and Water. So this is my main task at the moment. And so I have a lot of hats and try to solve now political problems with the knowledge of a biologist. And if I'm successful sharing now my presentation, let me see. Now it should work. Maybe you can give me information when you see the picture.
It's all there. Perfect.
Oh, wonderful.
Welcome, Frank.
Yeah.
just very quickly to all the people here, if you have a question, please use the F&A, the Q&A function of Zoom. It's a bit easier for me to moderate the Q&A afterwards. And if you like a question that someone else already asked, just hit the like button and we will prioritize the questions according to their likes. So now I'm really happy that Frank is online and we can start the webinar. I'm looking forward to a very exciting talk.
Thanks, Simon. Okay, let me rush through the pictures and information. So I think a lot of you read in the newspaper that the temperature in the ocean is really rising, and it's really alert in the ocean. So for example, in the Canary Islands at the moment we have 30 degrees. In the Mediterranean we have temporarily 10 degrees more than average. And as we know from the IPCC report, from the special report on climate and on ocean and cryosphere changing climate, 93% of the heat is coming is going to the ocean, and 30% of the CO2 emissions is going to the ocean and making more sour. And so we know this since years, and now we have the results, and the scientists have really problems to follow up with measuring the temperature all over the world. And as we also know, we have some alert signals from the Great Barrier Reef in Australia, a country who's still selling a lot of coal to all over the globe. Especially also here to Hamburg, to heat up the atmosphere, while the very, very pristine reef is dying. So they say more than 75% of the reef died already. And we know that because scientists say that since many, many years that if the temperature in the ocean rises more than 1.5 degrees, this hot water core will die. And politicians take it as a, yes, let's try to get the 2 degree goal. And scientists from the beginning say 1.5 degree is the limit and not a goal. So 3 days ago, the director of the Potsdam Institute for Climate Research said, yes, if we cross these tipping points, we enter a situation of accelerated change that is more dangerous than extreme weather events that we already facing today, for example, in Italy. So this is the famous Potsdam Institute. And these people and some others, they launched a paper also just some days ago. And they really they really wrote in clear letters that we are on the brink of an irreversible climate disaster. That is a global emergency beyond any doubt, and we are stepping into a critical and unpredictable new phase of climate crisis. So in last years, so I made the Hamburg Climate Week for 14 years, and it was always a discussion if climate change will come in this context or not, so heavy or not. And so this is also a problem of climate communication and also a problem of education, because the majority of the climate researchers said it very clearly since years, but with all the lobbyists and politicians and people from the fossil industry, they try to destroy this communication. But there is hope, and the hope is, for example, the United Nations Ocean Decade, especially called the United Nations Decade for Ocean Science for Sustainable Development. And they have some beautiful goals like clean oceans, healthy oceans, productive ocean, predictable ocean, and safe oceans. But the most important thing, and this was the agreement of the first UN Ocean Decade conference in Barcelona in April this year, is that we need to communicate inspiring oceans. And I know that some in this meeting are looking for this, and this is most important to make visible what is beneath the waves. And also our ocean conference following this Barcelona conference in Athens was a kind of hope. So John Kerry is the mastermind of this conference, and they collected the €9 billion, and I think 140 states participated. This our ocean conference in Athens, and John Kerry clearly states we need to act and we don't need to talk anymore. So this is my personal passion since '92. Peter already mentioned it's the Aldebaran. It's a communication and research vessel. I borrowed some money from the bank and tried to make a small platform with low CO2 footprint, specialized for shallow water areas, and which is for research and communication, which is today an ambassador for the United Nations Decade. We make a lot of projects, so 500 projects in 30 years means that every year between 10 and 20 projects happen on this boat. And as you can see, we can also fall dry in the Wadden Sea, so we can work in the most pristine areas of the world, also in coral reefs. And this is the philosophy since '92 until today, to bring knowledge from the ocean to civil society. And what we urgently need is the pillar of observation and researchers and research on the left side and communication on the right side. So the NGOs are very important for us, but my personal passion is to give scientists a voice, because they have the knowledge. They are working day for day on the basics on the ocean, and this is what I do. And another person who was very important and inspiring for me, we were friends for many years until she died in 2002, was Elisabeth Mann-Borghese, the founder of the International Ocean Institute, the youngest daughter of Thomas Mann. And she told me the ocean will force us to think and act different and think in a new way. And this is exactly what happens today, because when people make war, countries make war, when we put big walls between the countries, the ocean don't have any walls, so the fishes don't see any frontiers, the garbage doesn't see any frontiers, etc. So Elisabeth always said, yes, the ocean will force us to make a new view on the globe and how we share a common heritage of human mankind. And I think we have to really think a lot about this. And she was very powerful. She was in the United Nations. She squeezed in as a delegate from Austria, and she managed to establish the International Law Court of the Sea here in Hamburg, and also the Seabed Authority in the Caribbean. Yeah, then let's briefly talk about the ocean. So it's the biggest habitat in the world, and the most natural capital could come from the ocean. Not only fishes, we have much more in the ocean, like seagrass, like medicine. We take probably more than 70% of the oxygen from algae produced in the ocean. So every second breath we take, it comes from the ocean. We have a lot of biodiversity, but unfortunately, we don't know everything about the ocean because scientists estimate that we only know around 12% of all the creatures and animals in the ocean, and that's not much. And we deal with the ocean like it's a daily business, and this is not good. So it's also a carbon sink. So an estimated 93% of the CO2 is stored and cycled by the ocean. And also the whales have a special function in it, because normally before the time we killed them all, they took all the nutrients from very deep ocean sites, bring it up to the surface, they poop there, and then they fertilized the surface waters, and then a lot of algae bloom and produce CO2, and then they work as a CO2, produce oxygen, and they work as a CO2 sink. Then tourism is also very important. For example, where I now come from the Canary Island, they have too much, they destroyed a lot. So the greedy money people, they took away all the former agriculture, the good agriculture, and now there is nothing. They have really fights and protests on water because there is not enough water and everything. But tourism is also a link between humans and society and the ocean, and we need to be careful with this. And the ocean also is a very interesting source of creating culture. Indigenous knowledge from the ocean is very important also for our future. So transport, as far as you know, over 80% of the goods are carried by the ocean, and it's a good idea because there is no other system more efficient than big boats. But we for sure could discuss if these boats are good enough, is the propulsion is good enough, is the noise low enough for all the animals in the ocean. Over 1 billion people depend on the ocean as primary food source, and we could get a lot of medicine from the ocean. So years ago, when we made research in the barrier reef in Central America, in Belize, we found substance against HIV, but no one was interested in. In Corona times, a researcher group from Nuremberg and Austria, they found also medicine against Corona in the reef, but no one was taking care about. So I think this is a really, really big treasure for our future, and we should keep this in mind. So humanity is really, really close connected with the sea. This is a picture from our ocean book. It's a graphic book we made some years ago with a very ambitious graphic designer about all the relations between humans and the oceans. And we destroy a lot. For example, the CO2 leads to acidification. Until today, we don't know how much we destroy in the ocean. On the right side, we have an electron microscopic image from small algae with skeleton, which is endangered by this ocean acidification. We risk sea level rise. At the moment, we are talking of a sea level. We estimated a sea level rise between 3 and 5 meters for the next 300 years. And cities like Hamburg, where I'm broadcasting now, they don't realize it. So when we had the climate week 4 years ago, I talked to the Minister of Environment and said, yes, what do you think about this special report from IPCC Then he mentioned, yes, 1/3 of the city will be lost very soon, and no newspaper, no TV, no one is talking about. So I don't know what to do. And of course, a lot of plastic is in our ocean, you know, this big gyrus, but there are also more smaller ones, for example, in the North Sea somewhere, when you, and in the Baltic Sea as well. So then, and the big problem is not the plastic on the surface. The big problem is that plastic will divide up in very small pieces by sun and movement of the waves. And finally, we have microplastic, and I don't know how big the hills of microplastic will be under the surface in the middle of the gyrus. And with the University of Bayreuth, we made this image feeding small crabs with microplastic, and then with ultraviolet light you can make it shining, and you see how the digestion is working and all the microplastic is going through these small animals. And not only through these small animals, we have also information that plants take the microplastic, that human cells take the microplastic, and we really, really need to stop it. And I think the second biggest threat is the pollution coming from the normal agriculture, from the conventional agriculture. This is an image from the Baltic Sea. We took this 3 years ago. And if the oxygen level goes below 2 milliliter per liter, then special bacteria come up, white bacteria, they cover all the sea surface, and no fish, no other animal could survive in these so-called dead zones. We have overfishing, so 33% of the fish stocks is overfished, and we throw away 24 million tons of bycatch every year. So this is a big, big disaster, as well as we still are fishing key species like whales, dolphins, and up to 275 million of sharks. And I can't believe that the European Union still is the main marketplace for shark fins. So with my mandate in this European ocean mission, I will look that we try to stop this immediately. And the water noise, as already mentioned, causes a lot of deaths in the for sea mammals. And here we have the routes of the boats, and they have a very, very high speed temporarily. And with this high speed, they also kill whales. For example, there have been some speed ferries between the Canary Islands, and they had to stop it because they collided with whales, and a lot of humans get injured as well, and the whales for sure get killed. We have problems with invasive species. So the film you saw in the beginning was about an invasive species, a worm from Australia, and this is an image from this worm, and there is big damage from all this invasive species happening on existing infrastructure. And also this picture is an oil platform in a national park in Germany. So in Germany, it's still possible to drill oil in a national park. And at the moment, there is a NGO called Deutsche Umwelthilfe. They tried to stop it, but but the lobby of oil, gas, minerals, and sand is really, really heavy working. And but let's see, our future is in danger, and we need to save the oceans. Deep sea mining as well. So it was very exciting when the French president 2 years ago went to the ocean conference in Barcelona and say, no, France is not in the boat. And now Germany also has a big problem, and the United Nations suggests that we really should leave the raw materials in the deep sea, and that we need to close the cycles on the land to save these raw materials. And there is all other breaking news from July this year. So within the research around the raw materials and the mangan balls in the deep sea areas, they found out that there is an oxygen production from this anorganic balls, and this is really new. I just want to mention it, and no one knows how much percent of oxygen in the ocean is coming from this physical chemical process. Yeah, so the planetary boundaries are really in danger, a lot of them. So especially ocean acidification, we don't know exactly what will cause this issue. Then the biochemical flows are endangered, the freshwater change for sure, land system, biosphere integrity, climate change, and all these things. So, and everything is connected with the ocean. This is a picture from Sebastian Unger, who is now the German maritime coordinator. And he made this picture many years ago, showing that everything is connected with the ocean. And this is the reason we need ocean literacy to communicate about this. So the German Ocean Foundation, I founded 10 years ago, is creating synergies and organizing the dialogues between different entities, especially under the umbrella of this United Ocean Decade for Ocean Science for Sustainable Development. And I really love the motto of this decade. It's the science we need for the ocean we want. Not anymore the science we want because we want, the science we need for the ocean we want. I think it's a brilliant motto, and we have a lot of decade projects. I like to show you some of them. I already mentioned Aldebaran, which has now the logo on the front with the ocean contest for young people every year. Then we have a really exciting Citizens Ocean Science project where we also cooperate with ECBA and Peter, and this means that we take geographical data and temperature data from dive computers. We facilitate it, and we bring all these data, at the moment 80,000, but in near future more than 10 million data, to EMODNet, which is the European Marine Observation and Data Network. And the European Commission confirmed that they will finance that the next years. And I'm very excited because not only the divers, also the surfers and the sailors want to come inside this network. And I think this makes a big impact. Yeah. This is the ocean competition research at sea we do since 20 years with young people. So they choose their research project, and then we provide the platform that they can do it. And this is my special invitation to Düsseldorf. Maybe you know the International Boat Show, the biggest one in the world, taking place from mid-January to end of January for 9 days. And we have a space of around 1,000 square meters, presenting under the goal of the Ocean Decade the activities from science, society, and from industry. And you're welcome to come there as a visitor, but you would be also welcome to be as a presenter, as a partner, if you have something innovative to show, not only for the water sport industry, also for the 250,000 people coming to this fair. So it's a mecca for sustainability in water sports. And we also hand over the Ocean Tribute Award. It's a prize for innovative ocean projects given this year to ECOP Africa. It's a group of Africa. It's a network in Africa working on the goals for the Ocean Decade. And this prize is not only from us, from the German Ocean Foundation, it's also from the Prince Albert Foundation and the boat in Düsseldorf. It's a joint initiative. Yeah, then we have an Ocean Science Multimedia exhibition here in Hamburg, But this is not only an exhibition with 15 exponents, very exciting ones, like the first microplastic sampler. It's a big network, and at the moment we have 16 other exhibitions, activities around this exhibition, because the main goal is to make this very important ocean decade visible for everybody. And we plan an ocean festival in Berlin. At the moment, we don't have the money. So for this year, we make a parliamentary evening on November the 12th. So it's the first time that we invite politicians in Germany to join this initiative, and we make a survey about what Germany thinks about the ocean. And probably Peter and Simon, we can share this survey in your networks to get some more feedback. So at the moment we have close to 500,000 feedbacks with this survey. Very, very interesting, and seems that people really don't know too much about the ocean. Yeah, then we have another initiative which is leading in your direction. What you mean with your moderation at the beginning, it's Ocean Lovers Education. It's a cooperation with the International Ocean Film Tour, and we provide to teachers special information about the ocean, so they can download for the classes the films, and we provide some information, some education information material checked by scientists. So I'm very happy about this project. Then we want to do a project like an ocean knowledge base, which means to send an artificial intelligence over a lot of papers, scientific papers, and translate them randomly to a normal language. So Springer is inside the German Society for Marine Research, the German Society for Bio, for biologists also, but this is a future project, and due to a lack of financiation, we didn't activate it, but we also addressed it to Paris, to the IOC, to the International Ocean, to the International Oceanographic Commission, who gave us the label for an ocean decade project. Then last but not least, under the umbrella of the German Society for Marine Research, we have a young marine researchers conference called UMARES this year for the 15th time, happening in Hamburg in Germany. And so if you are interested and young to participate or to help to organize this conference, you are welcome. And now coming to my political area, on the right side, you see Catherine Chabot. Catherine Chabot is an ocean activist. She's a sailor, basically. Like Boris Herrmann, she sailed alone the Vendée Globe. And the last 4 years, she was part of the European Parliament. And she said it's not acceptable that we start every decade from zero in ocean policy. So we, means 40 experts, made a paper called Manifesto for European Ocean Pact, and we are very happy that Ursula von der Leyen took this paper already into her policy. So I'm very optimistic at the moment. And as already mentioned, we have 5 mission boards. These are high-speed activities to make policy better and quicker in terms of climate change and adaptation, in terms of cancer, healthy ocean and waters, climate, and healthy soil. And I'm in this mission for Restore Our Ocean and Waters, and very happy to collect also from you input how we can create a sustainable future ocean policy, which is not like today, with a lot of, for example, bad subsidies for fisheries, bad subsidies for the oil industry, etc. So this is part of my agenda. So we want to promote awareness. This is the first goal. We want to push pressure that the Marine Strategy Framework Directive will be continued and really enforced, implementing the goals of the United Nations Ocean Decade, taking serious the protected status of marine protected areas. Maybe today you read that the Environmental Justice Foundation, they sued France to respect that there is no deep sea and bottom ground fishing in Natura 2000 sites. So there is a lot of, maybe also in Germany, illegal fishing going on, and we need to work on the on the legal things, on the legal perspective of this laws. Then we need to restore many things. I will vote for really zero pollution for ocean and waters, because finally everything ends up in the ocean. We want to reactivate traditional and indigenous knowledge. We want to cancel all the harming European Union subsidies. We want to help to build up a healthy Baltic Sea action plan, the same for the Mediterranean Sea, and to strengthen European and national marine policy. But we also need to talk to the other countries, because it makes no sense when we stop the big fishing fleets in Europe and then maybe other countries like from China or from Japan or from Russia come and destroy all the ecosystems. So basically the philosophy also behind the zero pollution is, as biologists, you know, everything is a cycle, starting from the citric cycle in a cell, in going to organisms, going to communities, going to continents. Everything is a cycle, and the only creature destroying the cycle are we humans, and we really need to work on it to close again the natural cycles, because if we don't do it, we don't have any chance to survive on this beautiful planet. So action now. First of all, energy transition. Yes, we need energy transition to stop climate change, and we really need to start with organic and permaculture culture farming to stop all the nutrients still going to the ocean. That's it. Thanks a lot. And I think it was not too quick.
Thank you, Frank, for all that information. It's really interesting also for me. I looked into your, you know, in the Google Forms, in the questionnaire you have from the German Ocean Foundation. I will share the link in a moment. And I had, you know, this webinar was really good to prepare for some of the questions. Maybe I don't even, you know, share the link now too early, because people will still remember all the numbers. But yeah, I mean, apart from the also partially devastating information you shared and really alerting ones, coming back to also my introduction, you know, how can we be active and responsible and, you know, engage, be active participants to contribute to your mission?
How?
Yeah.
You mean as a question? Yeah, maybe at the moment I'm talking to a lot of people. I'm trying to get a strategy. There are a lot of intelligent papers. And if someone of you knows a good paper, really future leading paper, send me a link and let me know the group and let me know people to whom I can talk. And yes, I try to do my best in this ocean mission. And there are also other really, really good people. And the commission has really a lot of question marks. And another issue is also to link the other missions with the ocean mission, because as we see, the ocean is in the center of everything and we don't realize it. So whenever you have any input, send it to Peter, Simon, or me directly.
All right. We do have one question so far in the Q&A. So Wolfgang wants to know, is the TREC project, TREC project, that is organized amongst others by the EMBL, part of the initiatives you have described?
Not as I know.
Okay, maybe this is one of the first hints already from the participants tonight.
Yeah.
Which is nice. Okay. Any other questions? Peter, maybe you have one.
Yeah, I just want to mention deep sea mining. Deep sea mining is an old idea from the 1980s at least. We had the big steel companies in Germany who made progress in doing deep sea mining, and they are in the moment the big ones who hope that sea mining will be realized in the next years. In the moment we have the Norwegian coast, which is endangered by deep sea mining and also by CO2 storage. The Norwegian partners there, they don't deliver only energy, they also do deep sea storage of CO2. And at least we know from the former German Pacific expeditions that in these tracks where they dredged or they took out the minerals, there was no change after the last 30 years or so. And meanwhile, there was a very interesting film showing the future of the Earth when we start deep sea mining. And the mention was when we look to 2040, deep sea mining will give us the chance to use 20 years more mobile phones, or let us live in the way we live in the moment. But then it's at least gone. And the question is, should we risk our planet for this small gap to get more minerals, to get more material from the deep sea to power our industry? And meanwhile, this is very interesting also in the political questions. There are some important German industries. They say, no, we don't need these minerals from the deep sea. So we don't favor to develop more deep sea mining, and we should never allow this. And we have some countries, especially in the Pacific, which are poor countries, they are really interested in doing deep sea mining. Maybe, Frank, you could give a short statement. What's up in the moment in this question?
It's very difficult for me to reply to this answer because I have some insights I'm more or less not allowed to communicate. So Germany wanted to try. They built an alliance of companies, and suddenly they recognized that Germany is not able to handle it, to do it. And as well, the Alfred Wegener Institute make a lot of research around the areas where the first deep sea probes were taken many years ago, and still you can see the traces of the machines on the seafloor. So it's really not a good idea, and we for sure the main thing is we need to change our behavior. It's not possible to get a new mobile phone every second year. So I can remember my old Nokia phone, one of the first ones, it lasts for more than 10 years, and it could last maybe for 20. And we need to regulate this by political initiatives. We need to forbid that a phone you buy today expires in some years with software and things like this. It's not possible. It's stupid. It's just stupid on the backbone of our ocean. And there is not a letter, it's a concept from the German Ministry for Transport, who is more or less responsible for ocean policy. And they also say, if we don't manage to organize the circular economy, then we are not allowed to make deep sea mining.
Do you think there will be a competition between, let's say, geological sciences or mining sciences and biology?
Maybe yes, because we also have to bridge the gaps between the scientists themselves. So, you know, that GEOMA, for example, started as an institute to deal about this, and there are still two groups. One are the, let's say, the miners, the other ones are the biologists, the third group are the climate scientists, and we need to bring this together. But I have the feeling, I'm not a specialist in this field, but I think that the scientific statement is clear, really clear, as you mentioned, Peter.
Okay.
Clear against deep sea mining, because we don't know enough about the ocean. We know 12%, between 10 and 12% of the species. Why should we do deep sea mining in an area we don't know?
Yeah, as you mentioned, we don't know even the metabolism.
Yeah.
So when we face microbes or chemical reactions producing oxygen in the deep ocean, this is completely new.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's the same when I think 15 years ago, a German scientist discovered a small worm in 12 meters of depth in the Mediterranean Sea, and the worm was able to live in anoxic and oxic environment, and could switch depending on the environment in a very short time. So this is our metabolisms we don't know, and that's not only biodiversity, it's also at least the chemical way, it's the physiological way, and so on. We have to consider that this might be important for our future.
Yeah.
Well, maybe some words. Could you mention some, or could you give us a short impression? You mentioned the citizen science projects. I think these projects are very important for ocean literacy and also for the engagement of the society in science. Frank, we together have seen that the last 2 years where the temperature regime in the ocean worldwide exceeded temperatures which we have never seen before. And you mentioned the ocean stored not only CO2, but the most of the CO2 we have been put off, but also temperature in the upper ocean. And as you mentioned, in the Canary Islands, we have actually 30 degrees. Normally we have 24 or 22 degrees there. In the Mediterranean, we have the end of October up to 28, 29 degrees in 32 meters depth. For example, in the Balearic Islands. So these are incredible temperatures.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
in the Caribbean Sea, we have exceeded, meanwhile, 38 degrees. So why didn't we discover this before? Why is it coming up in the last, let's say, 2-3 years?
To be honest, it's also I don't know why it happened like this, but I have for the German scientific community probably an answer, because everything in the institutes is organized by projects. So they apply for a project, they start a project, they make the measurements for 2-3 years, then the project ends, and then the data are, yes, there is no structure at the moment. So, for example, the Deutsche Allianz für Meeresforschung, the new Alliance for Ocean Research, will try to take care about this. But this is a lack of knowledge and a lack of logistics we don't have, and maybe also the voice of the scientists was not loud enough. But first time I heard about these heat waves was 6 years ago from Franz Brümmer. He told me about the Balearic Islands, this massive heat waves, and now you hear it from everywhere. And that's also the reason that we really need the interaction between society and science, because the speed how the heat waves come all over the world is so massive that there are not enough ocean scientists who can care about measuring temperature, etc. So we need the society, we need the divers. And it's very funny, one person called us from the United States, and they say, "Oh, when did you finish your database? We urgently need your diverse data." And then we ask why. Yes, we need to predict the hurricanes, but in a better way. So this citizen science project, at least, is also for predicting weather extremes. Amazing, and we need to collaborate. We need to take out the science from the ivory tower. That's very, very important, and this is my message.
Yeah, thank you. And it shows such a simple parameter like temperature.
Yeah.
There's a problem. We have a lot of parameters where the scientists don't know about that. You can also see that the methods in science are not sufficient, at least because we have satellite observations. You can monitor the surface temperature of the ocean. But the problem is you can't see in the deeper ocean, not even in the, let's say, 1 to 2 meters, but not deeper. And that's why we need the divers to get the data, even if they don't go more than 30 meters. It's only a small column of water, but it's the first step to get data from deeper, from the deeper ocean.
Yeah, you're also so quiet. No,
some more questions. So we are about 30 participants. Some more questions from the participants.
Here we have one. It just popped up now. Is there a book that you would promote talking about how the oceans could or should be treated in future climatic changes and material needs?
No, to be honest, there are a lot of what does it mean, future climatic changes? So for example, seagrass. So we made the first surveys for seagrass 30 years ago with Aldebaran on the Baltic Sea. No one was interested in seagrass, no one. And today seagrass is just the shooting star. But seagrass is also suffering from the heat waves in the ocean. And then we now discuss a project to probably transfer Posidonia meadows from the Mediterranean to the Baltic Sea. And so I think this is really, really difficult because on the one hand, we need to tackle climate change in general, and the secondary, we need to tackle with climate adaptation in the ocean. And things are happening so quickly, and I can see, for example, the acidification of the ocean. We work together with the research group from Frankfurt, from Senckenberg Institute. Yes, for sure, they see some of the results, but this is there is not enough science to work on this issue to get the results we need. So coming back to the ocean decade slogan, the science we need for the ocean we want. Yes, we need more science in this acidification field. We need much more science in biodiversity. When I see how the knowledge of biodiversity gets lost in the institutions, in the museums, because it's not in the main focus of the political agenda. We need to put it again there.
Maybe you could make a short statement, which, according to the science policy, in the moment, marine sciences are promoted by the big research vessels, by the big organizations. Everybody knows polar research by the Polar Star vessel. We see the Antarctic research, we see the Arctic research. And this is maybe also what the students might be attracted by. And at least we would need more young scientists doing these field works just in the front of our home. Seagrass meadows or something like that, sediments, marine plastics, and so on. I think there should be also, let's say, a little bit change in the science promotion and also in the science financiation. We started in the 1980s, at least, or 1970s, with doing projects on our smaller vessels along the German coast and so on the others around the Baltic Sea also, and also on the Atlantic Sea. But this got lost when we started, at least on the Arctic and Arctic research, and something like space research. We founded big organizations. We have built big ships, very expensive ships, which cost about 100,000 or 200,000 euros per day. But at least, as the United Nations Decade says, we need at least the science for the ocean we want, and this is more or less low-cost science. It's science which has to be spread out along our coast, along the coast of Europe, along the coast of the interesting ecosystems. But it's not at least the science of the big organizations.
Yeah,
would you agree to this?
Yes, I fully agree. So when I started Aldebaran 30 years ago, a lot of scientists were laughing on us. They say, "Oh, what you like to do with this small vessel? What this is not could not be compared with the big ones." No, it could not. But the life is blooming in the coastal zones, and we need to know more about the interaction between humans and the ocean. It's happening on the coastal zone, in the shallow water areas where the breeding grounds of the fishes are. And so this focus was in the last 30, 40 years not in the focus, and all the states had big interest to have a really large vessel and to go in international waters. A lot of political motivation behind, also in the Arctic, Antarctica. But then they figure out that we need more small platforms. And today, I'm happy that most of the scientific institutes, they share big vessels, but also have small ones. But maybe let's go to the next question from Teresa in Portugal. She asked about ocean literacy and that you are reformulating essential learning, etc. I know that the Portuguese Ocean Foundation, Oceano Azul Foundation, and Tiago Peter Icunha, who is leading the foundation, he really is stressing on ocean literacy and education since many, many years. I can say that the Portuguese Ocean Foundation is the leading one in the world dealing with this education box, but sadly they got stuck also with financing this, and I like to make an initiative in Europe that we gather all this bits and bytes from ocean literacy and from educational approaches, because every country has any education approach, and put it in a big box and make a kind of toolbox out of it and translate it in different languages. I think this is the easiest way we can do. We have a lot of video material. We need to make it visible, and congratulations to Portugal. You made really a good example for it.
But Teresa is also asking, so that, even though they try to include ocean literacy, the truth is that it's still difficult to talk about something that most students don't know anything about because they've never seen it. So how do we get around that? So
yeah, we need to make this visible by really videos, films, visual things, because for me, the ocean and the microorganisms in the ocean are so fascinating. Every time when I see this high resolution images, I get fascinated. And if we do this, for example, on a boat show, it's the same. People come and ask, "Wow, this is a very beautiful creature. We need to share it. We need to do it. We need to exchange knowledge and visuals." Yeah.
All right. And we have one more question from Camilla. She said earlier, thanks for the interesting talk, very inspiring, and greetings from Vienna. And she's asking, why do you think, what was the reason why the big pharma wasn't interested in healing methods from the sea? And the next question is also very interesting from her. If you had the opportunity to talk to any person to make a big change for the ocean, who would that be? And why?
Okay. Yeah, Camilla. So I don't know why. So the researcher who made this encounter with the HIV sample came from Munich, from Bavaria, and unfortunately he didn't find any institute who hired him. So he went to the to other countries and stopped working on that. And the same with Corona, I don't know, but I see at the moment in the political field how it works, how the lobbyists are talking to the politicians. And just one example, we had a really interesting report about the ocean from really an expert group in 2006 about the ocean, a very thick book, and all the basics were inside, and it was written for politicians. And if you ask today a politician, do you know about this book? No, I don't know. Even the politicians who deal with the ocean. So I can't give you an answer, Camilla. So coming to the next question, to whom we need to talk. We need to talk to the financial industry. All the globe is driven by, let's say, capitalism. All the globe is driven by the mantra that we need growth. And as a biologist, you know that closed system growth is not possible. Every cell is a closed system, every organism is a closed system, and the globe is a closed system. So we cannot accept an exponential growth of anything on this globe if we want to keep it. We need to close the cycles, and we need to skip the interest rates and all these things. It's not possible to keep a healthy earth with any interest rates, because if you create interest rates and growth, you always risk or you always destroy something. So we have to talk to the financial industry. We have to talk to the responsible people there, and maybe we need to find another financial system based on restoration ideas and closing the cycles.
Okay, thank you. And Jacqueline is coming back to the issue I raised with my very first question. So what are your recommendations for a single person, any one of us, that would like to make a contribution to show politicians how important ocean protection is? Maybe also made personal experiences that you could share.
So it's still a secret, but a very, very high ranking person, maybe the second highest ranking person in this political area in Germany, talked to me recently, and he said, Frank, let's make a dive. Let's make a dive and show the beautiness of the ocean to the public. And that's what all of you biologists should do. Please take your time, take this politician, take this decision makers, and also take the entrepreneurs, people from economy, because if they understand what we have with the ocean and how beautiful and worthy the ocean is, and most of them go for holidays somewhere on a boat or somewhere on water sport. So you should take them and explain them about the links between society, humans, and the oceans, how we depend from the oceans. Most of the people don't know that every second breath is from the ocean, coming from very, very beautiful algae. And if they look to the microscope and you explain them, maybe they change their mind.
Okay, thanks. Then there's one question in the chat box, and I was sending answer to that already earlier, just now also in talking. So I will send a link list. Frank, maybe you can share the links that you showed with me in an email. I will send you a certificate of participation, including a link list, and this video will be uploaded on YouTube tomorrow. And yeah, because there was someone who would like to share some of the information. She's involved in education of students becoming teachers in biology in Marburg. Thank you, Barbara, for the question. And now one more in the Q&A. So Dorit says, I share your opinion that people have to be conscious of the problems in order to take action. I started to make the topic microplastic more known within the Soroptimist International Women's Service Club and face two problems. First, it's not easy to find good scientific data on microplastic. And second, the only conclusion is to use less of all plastic products, including clothes. Okay for my generation, but difficult for young people. Do we fight against windmills? Does it seem worthwhile to deal with small projects like this?
Yeah, for me, I'm also the president of the German Society for the German Marine Litter Association. And it's fighting against windmills. And when I go to a supermarket and I see how really everything is packed in plastic, it's a political, more or less a political decision to accept or to don't accept it. And we have a lot of other opportunities. Yes, we need to change our behavior. It's not possible to put a lot of plastic stuff in the wardrobe and wait 2, 3, 6 weeks until we eat it. If we go to the market and take fresh things from over there. I think the plastic thing is good and bad. The good thing is, yes, it's visible. You can see it, unless the microplastic is maybe too small. But everyone understands that the plastic bag in the ocean makes no sense and harms turtles and other creatures. But so yeah, it's not possible to find really good data about microplastics because it's not possible to create good data about microplastics. Until today, you know, I showed you this image of the sampler we built, the first automatic microplastic sampler. You know who was interested in? No one. We showed it to the Minister of Research, to the Minister of Transport, to all the people who are responsible for monitoring for plastics. They are not interested. And we cannot solve the problem of microplastic and plastic with more data. We can only solve it with changing our behavior. And I could not understand how a country like Germany accepts that food is packed in a material whose ingredients causes cancer. Why? Why? Only because it's cheap? This is not a good reason. But imagine a supermarket without of plastic. We need to work on this and how to do. This is a big challenge, and it means we really need to change our behavior.
All right. If there are no more questions,
Simon,
there's one more. Thanks for sharing your knowledge.
Just a short statement. Frank, you mentioned that the money makes the world go round, at least.
Yeah.
And you also mentioned we have to go to at least the financial industry, as you stated. And we had the discussion about women organization like Soroptimists. Rotary is also doing environmental business in the meanwhile. They founded in 2015 ESRAG, which is the Environmental Sustainability Action Group. And I think the best chance to get more people in and to convince more people might be bioeconomy. Because when we look to the countries which face in the moment the coral problem or the temperature problem. Most of the countries are poor countries and they deal with tourism. And when the tourism income goes down, they realize that they have a problem. And on the other hand, we could also invest, let's say, in special technologies. Why should we take CO2 from the atmosphere with huge machines and costs when we have, for example, algae? We could also plant algae. We could finance algae farms or the restoration of our coasts with laminaria, for example. All the plants they fix CO2 at least, but in the moment they don't have any economic worth. And that's why there might be there might be a change at least in understanding what happens when we convince the financial industry that they could also invest in such technologies.
Yeah. Peter, let me go back to the last remarks on the chat. Someone wrote, we can educate young pupil scientists to manage the problems. That's the truth. Yes, this is the most important thing we need to do. In the Humaris conference in Berlin, we had Johannes Vogel, who is the director of the Natural History Museum, Museum for Natural Science in Berlin. He's very famous. He's married with some relatives of Darwin, etc. And he said, guys, we failed. Our generation failed. We made everything wrong we could make wrong. And now it's on you. And please take the chance. And the biggest responsibility we have is to educate the young people, all young people.
And that's what we're doing in the Synopsis project. And thank you. I think this is a very good finishing line that we struck 2 minutes past our program. And I'm really happy that we had a lively discussion tonight. And thanks again, Frank, for your time and this beautiful talk with a lot of also not so beautiful facts. But I think it's also necessary to hear and see that repeatedly so that we can share this information. And please also share the video with all the people you know that might be interested, and even the ones you may think that are not interested yet. So with this, I think, yeah, we had a great webinar tonight and hope to see you soon. Our next webinar is on the 5th of November. It's with Burak Cicek. He's from the Eastern Mediterranean University in Turkey, and he's going to talk about marine and coastal ecosystems. And he's a specialist in this for quite a while. And I can send you also the links to register for this webinar, and hope to see you soon again. Thanks a lot for joining, and have a great evening.
Thanks a lot for listening. It was my pleasure.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.